what sort of trees do you mostly harvest?
They're usually peppermints.
Okay.
The majority of my land has peppermints. The wind comes through and 2 or 3. I mean, where we did the fire trial with the council 2 years ago, when they put the D9 through, I'm using that as my file.
Okay, does that answer the question? Hang on, we'll go over here first and we'll come back to you.
There's one over here.
Oh, sorry. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so Robin Gates, landowner in this area. I can't help anyone with the right and the wrong. I live in the catch-22, which is I love the moths every night that come to my light because I live in the bush and I can't sleep on those hot, dry nights when everything crackles. But I had a wonderful experience. I went past the boom gate with a scientific group. I couldn't take 2 steps and they were saying, don't tread on that orchid, there's a crane fly and all these things. And I picked the firewood apart because I find so many interesting insects in it. Past the boom gate, I found a dead tree. I put my camera in a hollow, I took a photo, I thought I had a pink moth. When I zoomed it up, I had an owlet nightjar with his mouth gaping and pink little mouth. So I have that interest and I have that passion. Lenah Valley Road, spotted quoll, native quoll. My house, 1 dead duck, and there's a tiger quoll. We live in such a fantastic area, and I'm not helping you. I respect you and I admire you, and I'm just like you. So I just am so lucky to live in Lenah Valley.
Yeah, all right.
And that spotted quoll was very near where I live, which is in suburbia.
Yeah.
It's not in the bush. That was on the road, just off the road, wasn't it?
Okay, so even dead trees are habitat. Yep.
That's basically what I was going to say as well, that the dead trees, the fallen over trees, the trees that are standing but dead, they all provide a habitat for our native animals, and even though they might be fallen on the ground, they're still adding to the understory and making a diverse environment for all the numerous animals that live in our beautiful bush. And I think just because they've fallen down and you think that they're a fire risk, they're actually part of our natural, what happens in the bush anyway, and I think that that's...
So it's bushfire.
Yeah, and it's all...
All right, thank you. We've got a question up here.
Yeah, David Ronald, I live in West Moona, so a little bit outside, but not too far away.
Yeah, put your loud hand up.
Sorry. David Ronald, I live in West Moona, which is not quite in this catchment, but pretty close. I had a double-barreled question. One was about the process by which the timber harvesting plan is drawn up. When does that happen? Is it after the private timber reserve is decided upon and things are already outside council's control, or is it a process that happens as part of that approval?
If you're aiming that question at me, you do your application. To do your application, you have to put down how you intend to harvest, so that they can look at your harvesting plan to say whether or not they'll grant you the licence.
And is there any public input into that or council input into that, or is it just you and the forest practices?
First of all, it goes to the forest. I mean, there was input from Wellington Park, Knocklofty and City Council as far as when I put mine in.
Right. Thanks. And the other part of the question, I guess, is there some way that the council planners can work with Patrick to try to work out whether there's some way he can do what he wants to do under the council's planning scheme?
I think that's the big question that we have.
And I'll say again that the council planners met with Mr McGrath today to try and work that out. So I've said it 3 times now.
Yeah.
It's happening. It's under discretion, it can happen.
Okay. All right. Well, we've been going for about an hour and a quarter. Anyone else? Final question or comment before we wrap it up? No? Okay. Well, I guess the big question is, do we need a private timber reserve, or can we achieve the same results by doing it through the planning scheme? I think that's what we've got to look at here. I don't have the answer, and you know, where do we go next? I guess. Helen, have you got a suggestion here?
Look,
I think this case in point has raised a broader question, and what I've done is prepared a petition, and people can sign it if they're interested, but it's about the process and actually making a level playing field for everybody rather than benefiting an industry, because there are community interests at stake here as well. So I'll read the petition, and there are copies if you want to take them, and if you fill them or just send them back to me at the town hall, and I'll collect as many signatories as possible. But I'll read the petition. It says, "The petition of the undersigned citizens of Tasmania," and this is to the Honourable the Speaker and members of the House of Assembly, points out to the House that when an application for a private timber reserve is made under Part 2 of the Forest Practices Act 1985, there is no right of objection nor appeal for most individuals. These rights should be fundamental to participation in Tasmania's planning system, just as they are with other development applications administered by planning authorities such as councils. In order to protect local amenity and the community's aspirations, and I might add that this draft planning scheme is based on community aspirations, rights of objection and appeal should be afforded to members of the public where private timber reserves are allowed under local planning schemes. Your petitioners therefore request the House to legislate so that private timber reserve applications be considered under local planning schemes, just as any other development application, in order to properly protect Tasmanians' rights of appeal and those natural features of local amenity and the community's aspirations for their local area. And I think Graham might be sending those around, those petitions around, for those who want to sign it. So, I mean, I would be hopeful that that the local community could work with the landowner to ensure that there is a good outcome for everybody, and I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. I think that we can actually come up with this, but I personally, and I'm not, as I said before, I'm not speaking on behalf of the council, that should be quite clear, but I personally would like to see that a private timber reserve isn't actually applied for, and that it is under the jurisdiction of the local planning scheme. You want to say anything?
Okay. Patrick, would you like to have a final comment before we finish?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, look, thanks everybody for coming. It's unfortunate that we always get big crowds over controversial things, and we can't come together as a community a lot of other times to talk about, you know, positive things. But thank you all for turning up tonight. Hopefully, we will get a good result on this. I don't know how. It'll be up to the council to decide, I think, part of it, and then up to Patrick to see how he feels about it, working with the council, and we'll see where we go. So let's hope, keep our fingers crossed that we can come up with a solution here. I can't give you one tonight, but thank you very much for all coming along.